color palette in this film is beyond interesting. I mean, how much was developed in pre-production or during production, and was any of it changed or developed in post?
Oh, that's a great question. It was all fairly thought out. We were definitely, like with anything, you're responding to certain things in the moment, but in terms of the pre-production process, there was a really careful discussion both with my production designer, Lori Krupp, who's great. This is the second film we worked on together, and my very long-time collaborator and dear friend, George Nicholas, our director of photography and also our producer. So we, between the three of us, we were constantly talking about color palette for different scenes. It's very varied. And in some ways that was a challenge because there's a lot of shifts, from the flashback sequences to different locations. There's always a sense of something changing. But for each scene, we had references, we had swatches. We obviously were consulting with costume, so all of it was pretty planned. That said, sometimes you lose a location and you have to make a very quick decision on the fly, and suddenly with any endeavor like that, you're just trying to own whatever decision you make and say, "Oh, I meant it that way." But yeah, it was fairly planned.
There's some animation in the backdrop too, right? There's some things that you draw in and stuff like that. Was it so you planned that out as well, or was that developed in post based on what you got on the screen?
That was a late moment addition. That was a post thing, and I think in the edit was really a long process of discovery, and there were different things we tried. I think some of the early cuts were much more linear, much more straightforward, much more honest to the screenplay, and then we sort of threw a lot of that out. I think I watched some Tarkovsky, watched a lot of more experimental filmmakers, and thought, let's see, the film's really about memory, so how do we show in cinematic terms how memory works? And memory is very rarely linear. You'll be walking down the street and suddenly see an image from when you were 6 years old, and that collage work, the animation stuff, which I had sort of experimented with in the past in music videos and whatnot, that was sort of a trick I pulled out of the hat.
You touched on a little bit about the pre-production aspect of this film, but I want to know, was there any really unique challenges that you faced that you hadn't faced in a pre-production before with dealing with trying to get this thing together?
So many. I mean, this is, for all intents, I did a featurette with George, actually, the DP, which was 46 minutes. So technically that's a first feature, but this is really the proper first feature length. So just the scope, from casting, coming together, everything, finding locations, we were overwhelmed. We had no business making a film of this scope with sort of the modest budget we had. So pre-production in itself is a crazy journey, and I remember coming to the end of that process the day before shooting and sort of feeling like we had done it, and then you realize you're just starting.
I imagine in a film that is intricate like this one, where there's finite details and a sort of rhythm to it, what's something that the actors added, though, that really made a difference that you hadn't thought of?
Oh, the actors saved the day. This film wouldn't have come together without the amazing cast we had. Edoardo Ballerini, obviously, first to mention, such a versatile, elegant, poised performer. I'm really hoping this is the film that gives him his moment at last in the spotlight. He's one of those actors that almost everybody will recognize. You've seen him in many things, from TV to film. He's right now starring opposite Harvey Keitel in a film that's out now, and yet a lot of people, he's not a household name yet. And
that's the case with a lot of these actors.
It's true, yeah. We have a lot of recognizable faces, but no, we don't have Brad Pitt in our film. But Eduardo brought his heart and soul to the film. He plays 8 different characters, so there's a tremendous range in that. He's also a producer on the film, so he really was, meaning that he was helping finding some of the financing. He was helping with everything a producer does in terms of helping lock down locations. He was not just an actor in his trailer, and there were no trailers. Greg Bennick is, I think, sort of, in some ways our secret weapon. He is, this is his first feature. He's mostly known he has a, I think, very rabid following in the hardcore punk rock vegan scene, straight edge vegan scene, and has done a lot of amazing things in his life, a lot of activism, and he really shines in the film. And then Emmanuel Shariki was an amazing surprise. We were so excited that she said yes to this film, and she was just an utter pleasure to work with, and just immediately became part of the team. We only had her for a few days, but she was really wonderful on set, and just really lovely and wonderful to work with, and she's amazing in the film. But yeah, the cast is everything, and a good cast can take some maybe awkward dialogue and make it better, good dialogue and make it even better than that, and it was just a delight.
How do you like to work with your actors? Are you someone who likes to rehearse a lot, or is it something where you shoot rehearsals, or is it kind of you're okay with them learning their lines and then allowing improv? How do you like to run a set in that respect?
I'm really flexible depending on how much time we have, and in a case with I think we had George, do you remember, maybe in 19 days of principal, but a very short schedule doesn't allow for much rehearsal.
Yeah.
Eduardo and I rehearsed. I think I was able to, we had a rehearsal day with Austin, which was wonderful. He just was able to come down. Were I to have more time, I would obviously love it. As a kid and in my teenage years, I did some acting, studied acting a lot, so it's a process I love, and there's different sort of methods I'll borrow from, but I think mostly it's about being in the moment, being responsive to what's happening. You are at once, I think I think a good director becomes a bit of a father figure to the cast. You don't, in the same way like a psychoanalyst doesn't want to reveal too much about him or herself. You don't want to bring your own personality, but you're much more of a reflection, and you are a guide, and so it's really about a very sort of, it's a way of, you try to put your ego aside and listen to what's happening in the room and respond in the moment. So I'm still very much at the foothills of that process, still learning, but I really like doing it.
The music in this film plays a huge role, and it sets a tone, it sets an idea up, and kind of it actually gives away a couple plot points at certain points as well. So was that all part of the written script, or was that something that you developed in post as well?
I think I really found the music in the post process. I've always been a musician as long as I've been a filmmaker, actually, and it's really a twin love, meaning I spend almost as much time doing music and am equally passionate about it. So that the writing the score wasn't an afterthought. I always knew I was going to do it, and I had a general sense that it was going to have a lot of jazz elements. Bernard Herrmann was a big influence. A lot of the sort of film noir music from that period. But I also knew there was going to be sort of a twist on that was going to have some electronica elements, some more avant-garde soundscape stylings. But beyond that, I don't think I had the themes in my head. I think I had one theme maybe sort of just as we were rapping. But it was really a process in post of discovery and letting those melodies kind of come to me and developing them.
When you're writing and developing a plot that has twists and turns, what are you careful about? Not doing, essentially. But how do you develop and reveal? How do you develop a reveal strategy?
Clumsily, I think my script writing it's probably I struggle the most with script writing.
Yeah.
Like writing the score to the film came so effortlessly. Directing actually is I find very easy. Script writing I work at. So this was really a process of a first draft being, I don't know if I can curse, but a shitty first draft. You really have to get that out, and then you go back and you refine. So in terms of the reveal in this film, which I won't reveal, I think it was maybe latent in maybe the second or third draft. I don't think it was there right away. And I don't remember how we arrived on that, actually. But the script writing process is very collaborative. I got a lot of notes from my collaborators, from Eduardo, from George, from Eisen, our producer, and I don't think it was easy to get there. I want to spend even more time writing the second script and get it even more airtight.
What do you think you've learned from this experience that you'll take with you onto the next film?
Get your story, like I said, airtight before you go into production, because I think, and this is what everybody says, and we didn't. There were a lot of things on this film that you're told as an indie filmmaker. Start with a small cast, a limited amount of locations, never special effects, no chase sequences, and we broke all those rules.
Yeah.
But the one rule that I think I would have liked to heed better is to make the script even more airtight. There was a lot of work on the script that I think we did in post, and I think we got there in post, but I would say get your script just so it works on its own.
Hello, everybody. My name is Joe Compton, and I run and operate GoIndieNow. The video you just saw is one part of many different shows that we produce here on our network. Our network produces shows daily, weekly, and monthly all over social media. We have shows on Facebook, we have shows on Instagram, and of course here on YouTube. I hope that you do click on our name and check out all the videos that we're doing on YouTube, as we've done so many different shows and have so much content for you to check out. We do hope that once you do check it out, that you like what you see and you subscribe to our channel. And then, of course, hit the notification bell right in that little corner there to let yourselves know about when new content is produced. Like I said, we produce it quite often, so I hope that you guys come back quite often and check it out. Also, with the video that you just saw, I hope that you like it, comment, and let us know what you'd like to see more of. We're here to cover indie artists and everything that they do. All indie artists of all art forms. So I hope that you do support these artists. They're making some incredible art out there, and we will see you again soon. And remember that it's always time to go indie now.